Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. Cachefly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Sunday, November 20th, 2011. This is episode 824. Enjoy. Tech Guy Podcast is brought to you by Ford, featuring available Sync with My Ford Touch. Sync with My Ford Touch gets you to your destination with integrated turn-by-turn directions and directional arrows displayed on screen. Check it out in the new 2012 Ford Focus and at Ford.com/technology. Well, a good day to you. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And this is a show all about technology. So if you've got a question about computers, you want to know more about stuff going on the internet, you want to understand better the world of technology, this is the place for you. Cell phones, home theater, and all that jazz. 88 digital cameras, too. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Outside the U.S., you can Skype in. 888-827-5536. I think easier to remember. 8888 Ask Leo. Hope so. We paid a lot of money for that number. And anything you want to talk about, if it has to do with tech, I'd love to talk about it. I know that one of the subjects that will be on some people's mind, Thursday, it was Internet Censorship Day. You know about that? The House and Senate were looking at bills that would essentially give the federal government the right to blacklist websites. And there's some real concern from internet companies like Google and Yahoo and Facebook, from internet service providers like Comcast and Verizon, that this would put a real damper on the internet, to say the least. The Senate bill is called the Protect IP Act. The House bill, the Stop Online Piracy Act. And this is really nothing new. There have been many, many bills before this with this same goal. And they're all being put forward really by the content industry, the TV, the movie, and the record industries, who really are so afraid of piracy, they're willing to hobble the internet, to really destroy the internet, some would say, to protect their business interests. Now, I agree we got to protect their business interests, but I don't agree that we should kill free speech on the internet as a result. I don't believe we should hamper internet innovation as a result. I don't believe we should be turned into China with a government firewall as a result. The legislation would grant the government and private parties, and this is the key, of course, private parties like the record industry, unprecedented power to interfere with the Internet's domain name system. This is the phone book for the internet. Whenever you search, or not even search, whenever you enter a web address, an address like Yahoo.com or TechGuyLabs.com, your browser looks up a number because, it's like a phone number. You can't make a phone call with 8888 Ask Leo. You got to get the number that goes with it. You can't make a web surf. I don't know, what do you call that? Traverse the web with a name like Yahoo.com. You've got to have the number. So that's done with a phone book system called the DNS, or Domain Name System. These laws would allow the government to force internet service providers like Comcast and Verizon and Time Warner and search engines like Google and Yahoo to redirect or dump users' attempts to reach certain websites, effectively taking those websites off the air in the U.S. The idea being that record companies could say, that's a pirate site, or that site's helping people pirate, or we just don't like that site, and take it off the air. Internet service providers, including web hosts, would be under pressure to monitor and police their users' activity. This is something very difficult for them to do. In fact, the SOPA bill, the House bill, targets websites that just don't do enough to track and police copyright infringement. They'd say to YouTube, you got to make sure there's no copyrighted material on there. They'd say to Facebook, well, you got to make sure that every picture, every song posted is, owned by the guy posting it, not by somebody else. And the thing that scares me, it creates powers to shut down people who help, not only the record industry believes help copyright infringement, but anybody who would, for instance, offer a way around that, a proxy server, they'd be out of the business. Now, the good news is Ron Wyden from Oregon has placed a hold on the Senate version of the bill. He says and understands that it is a very dangerous bill. But the SOPA Act still continues through the House. We've got to do something about this, and my suggestion is you go to EFF.org. That's the Electronic Frontier Foundation, a really great nonprofit. I support them with a $100 donation every month. But I'm not asking you to give them money. But they've got a great website that explains what's going on. You click the link. You can enter in your zip code, and they will give you appropriate text to put in a letter. They will give you the phone number and the fax number for your senators and representative. And this is the most important thing, because an email is not going to do the job. They want to know they're hearing from a constituents. They want to see a snail mail envelope with a postmark. They want to get a phone call from a constituent, a fax. Phone call's the best. Easy to do, take a minute. They just make a checkbox. They make a checkbox, and they says, we got 300 calls from constituents today. It said, don't pass SOPA. Now, the reason you got to do this is because, unfortunately, we've got the finest Congress money can buy. And the companies that make the most money off of content are putting a lot of money into congressional campaigns. And so members of Congress listen to them. That's why these bills are in Congress right now. They listen to them. You give me money, I'll listen. You want that bill? In fact, the bills usually are written by the industry and handed to members of the congressional staff, who then hand it to their member of Congress, who then sponsors it into a legislation. These bills are written by the content industry, and they go way too far to protect the content industry, and they really risk the internet as we know it. If you don't understand why, you just got to trust me on this. They truly, truly do. And the best thing to do would be to contact your member of Congress and let them know that, you may be getting financial donations from these companies, but, ultimately it's the votes that put you in office. I'm a voter. I'm your constituent, and I care. We knew this battle would be joined, and this is not the last battle. This is a war, and it will continue because, unfortunately, the record industry, the movie industry, the TV industry see the internet as a piracy tool. They see computers as a piracy tool, and they're doing everything they can instead of figuring out how to make their business work in this modern age, sending us back to the pre-internet age, the pre-computer age. They felt safer there, and they've done that since piano rolls. They've done that since the VCR. They've always done that. We can't let them win this time. The internet's too important. And your business model's changing. Look at Google Music. It was announced this week. Google is going to start selling music just like iTunes and Amazon do. They will be, I'm sure, one of the big three music outlets. But here's the great news. Unlike iTunes and Amazon, if you're an unsigned independent artist, if you have a great song that you created with your computer in your garage, in your basement, in your bedroom, you can go on Google Music and sell it just exactly the same as the record industry, get the same split. That terrifies them. They don't like that. They want to be needed. They want to be wanted. Don't we all? Well, just don't do it in Congress, okay? Go to EFF.org, fill out that email or letter, or better yet, make that phone call. You can read the script. You can just say, look, I'm against SOPA. Member of Congress, please don't vote for it, or I won't vote for you in the coming election. It's simple. That's all we need to do. And it only takes a few thousand people to do that before every member of Congress will say, whoa, hold on there. Hold on. Maybe this isn't such a good idea. Maybe I am getting millions of dollars from these big companies, but hold on there. $1 million ain't gonna make up for a loss of 1 million votes. EFF.org. Stop their internet blacklist legislation, SOPA in the House, Protect IP in the Senate, and it's up to us just to let them know that I'm a geek and I vote. That's all there is. I'm a geek and I vote. 8888 Ask Leo. All right, down off my soapbox. Let's talk to you and answer your questions, help you with technology. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, my goodness. Brought to you again today by those good folks. What can you buy for $12.95? Ford. The lovely Ford Sync with My Ford Touch that gets you to your destination. You know, I talk so much about My Ford Touch and about Ford Sync and about how great it is to talk to your car. It's just like Siri. Long before there was Siri, there was Ford Sync. And I don't take my hands off the wheel, my eyes off the road. I press a button on my steering wheel. It goes, bong. I say, audio, bong. Play Bob Dylan. And it starts playing. Because I got an iPod hooked up because it's got a USB port, or with my Bluetooth, Bluetooth stereo setup. It's awesome. I don't even have to hook up any wires. Just say play Bob Dylan, and it takes the music off my office. So I was playing it. It's just amazing. You could play Pandora. You could play Stitcher. But I always kind of forget to mention the most important part of any system like that is the GPS, right? That's why you get it in the first place. I mean, it's nice to be able to talk to your car, but it's even nicer to say, bong, destination, bong. Take me to the ballpark. Boom. Ching. It even tells you traffic up ahead. It'll reroute you if you want, if there's bad traffic. I mean, I just go on and on. Little things like, because it's so integrated into the system, when your gas warning light comes on, this is in my Mustang, when I get down to 50 miles left, the gas warning light just came on my way here. It shows all the gas stations on your route. You can even find out where the best gas prices are. This is modern thinking, and it's no surprise because the CEO of Ford, the guy who started it just a few years ago, Alan Mulally, is an engineer. He's the guy who designed Boeing cockpits for Boeing, including the 777, the most wired cockpit or unwired cockpit in the industry. This guy loves this stuff. He is a geek. I know. I've interviewed him many times, and he's wonderful. And this is the result of Alan saying, you know, we want to make this car a 21st century consumer electronics device. All the great features, the engines, the EcoBoost engine, the hybrid electric vehicles, the all-electric vehicles, the plug-in hybrids, the diesels, the secure code keyless entry, the capless fuel filter. I mean, it's filler, some little things like that, but just not having to have a cap on my Mustang is just so great. And then super high-tech stuff like the Bliss with cross-traffic alert that monitors your blind spots. All of this is so sweet. You're going to love your Ford. I want you to go to your Ford dealer, test drive a Ford. There's one for you. Or visit Ford.com/technology and to find out more. If you go to the Ford dealer, test drive the new 2012 Ford Focus with My Ford Touch and the Sync, and just see how great. It's the best GPS in the market. Absolutely the best. And it's the safest because you never take your hands off the wheel or your eyes off the road. You talk to your car. Thank you, Ford, for your support for the Tech Guy podcast. We really appreciate that. All right, let's see. I'm going to get my ducks in a row because we're going to get going here. Hi, Kyle. Got Gina on the Gina Savati on the phones.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, Gina. Delicious cup of coffee. Thank you, Mr. John Slanina, Jammer B. I should use one of my internet coasters. Let's see, which one will I want to use today? Amazon, Netflix would be good. Use Netflix for the coffee. It's my internet coaster. Yeah. And for the water, what should I use? Should I use Mint, World of Warcraft Authenticator, PayPal, Google, Pandora, Twitter, Dropbox, World of Warcraft, Spotify, Bank of America, Where's Instagram? There we go, at the very bottom. I'll use Instagram because I like that one. Use that for my water. Doctor Who theme? Is that what that is?
Muse.
Muse. Sounds like the Doctor Who theme. You know they're making a movie out of Doctor Who? That's a mistake. The whole point is it's cheesy, right? Leo Laporte, it's called Uprising. Ah, I get it. Right on. Wow. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Did you see the video and the camera phone pictures from the UC Davis Occupy Wall Street protest when the campus cops pepper sprayed the protesters? Now, I'm not going to weigh in on the politics of that. I don't know what went on there, but I think the important thing from a technical point of view is no action goes unrecorded these days. There's, because everybody has a camera phone, everybody's got video. I remember in the 60s, 1968, during the Democratic Convention, when the protesters were fighting with the police in Chicago, and they were shouting, "The whole world's watching." Remember that? I'm old enough to remember that. I was probably 12, 13. The whole world's watching. And because of network news, for the first time, really, we were watching on TV. But that ain't nothing compared to what's going on now. I mean, and this is both good and bad. It's great, I think, for democracy because no secret actions go on. But I think if you're a kid in high school, it might not be so hot, might not be so cool, because unfortunately everything you do is also recorded. And a good point by somebody in the chat room. You would hate for the police to hold back because they thought somebody was watching. Well, you'd want them to act lawfully, of course, but you certainly wouldn't want them to be hindered by this. So it's a complicated situation, but I have to say, it is definitely changing the world because you just cannot do anything in public these days, as many members of Congress have learned, because it all gets recorded, doesn't it? Tom is on the line from Fredonia, New York. Hail, Fredonia. Hail, Tom. A good day to you, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. I was calling. I've got a couple questions today. The first is my iPad. I've been trying to do mirroring with my Apple TV, and videos work great.
Yeah.
But whenever I try to do a game, it stutters. And I did a little research online, and they're suggesting it's a network problem.
Do you have an iPad 2?
Yes.
An iOS 5.0 or later?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're not using the hardwire, you're not using the HDMI cable, you're using AirShare.
Right. I'm using the AirShare.
Right.
And
well, if you think about it now, one way to test this would be to take, because you can, you'd have to buy something, but you can get a 30-pin HDMI dongle for the iPad and then plug it into your TV directly. And if it works great there, which it would, then that would confirm the fact that it's the network, it's the over-the-air thing. Because, you got to get the video from this iPad screen to your television screen in a timely fashion through the air. In fact, if you're playing a game, it's even more challenging because it has to be two-way. It has to be real-time, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, and right now, when I do go to the game, it stutters a bit. And that's part of the reason why I got the Apple TV is I like the idea of being able to play a game, in the living room with the kids.
No, I think this is a revolution because now everything that's on your iPhone or iPad, you could put on the screen. So YouTube video, whatever, you could just put it up on the screen. So suddenly the iPad becomes like almost a little big remote control that you sit in with your lap and you put stuff on the screen. Would be nice if it works, but it probably is your Wi-Fi.
Are there any? One of the things I checked was I've got an old application on my iPod Touch. It shows me what networks in the area, and I found out I had a neighbor was using the same channel as mine.
Ah, there you go. That would affect it.
So I changed that. Are there any other things that I can change on the network settings?
Well, there are 11 channels, but there are Wi-Fi. You can download Wi-Fi, more complicated, more sophisticated Wi-Fi analyzers that will show you the traffic on every channel. It's fascinating to do. We did this here in our Brick House studios when we built it because we were having a very similar problem. We had Wi-Fi that was not as fast as it should be, and it turned out there was a lot of traffic in different bands. You almost can think of what you would normally think of as a single frequency, the 2.4 gigahertz frequency that Wi-Fi is on, as really divided into multiple bands. But really think of it as virtually 3 bands. So while you get 1 through 11 or 0 through 11 as your choices, it's really more like 1, 2, 3, 4 is one band, 5, 6, 7 is another, 8 is another band, and then 9, 10, 11 is another band. So there's like 3 bands. So what I would do first is try 1 or 2, 5 or 6, 10 or 11, and try each of those. See how you're gonna have to do a lot of trial and error and see how it works, and you might fine tune a little bit by one notch, but really it's those are the 3 big bands. And so your neighbor being in band 1, going to band 2 isn't going to fix it.
Okay.
So I would try some big chunks. You can also move your receiver around. Is the Wi-Fi access point in the same room as the TV?
No, it's about 2 rooms over.
Yeah, so that's another issue, right?
Okay.
I would try, you don't even have to move it in a different room, just kind of aiming it, repositioning it, moving it around. RF radio frequency is, it's voodoo. So just messing with it can help. But again, think of 1, 6, and 11 as being 3 channels. There, you have 11, but think of it 1, 6, and 11 as 3 channels, and try those first.
Okay.
Good luck, Todd. Yeah, it's the Wi-Fi. You're lucky you only have one neighbor. I open my my Wi-Fi settings and I see 7 or 8 access points. There are places in cities where you see 20 or 30. So it is hard. This is interesting because this spectrum, this bandwidth, this 2.4 gigahertz bandwidth is unregulated. It's wide open, and that means everything from a microwave oven to a baby monitor to a cell phone can use that frequency. Nobody has to apply to the FCC to use it. You merely have to show that your device doesn't interfere abnormally with other devices on other frequencies. But you can do what you want. But look at that. There's a really good example of why free and open internet, free and open technology is vital. We wouldn't have Wi-Fi. And look at what it changed. That's rot. We wouldn't have Wi-Fi if that had been regulated spectrum. It would have been just too hard for these companies to innovate there. So having this open, unregulated spectrum has been a blessing, a little bit of a curse too, Todd, because other people are using it. Other people are in there. There are some very good analyzing programs on the market. Let me see if I can collate a list. I see one in the chat room. Called what is it called? InSSIDER, Insider with 2 S's from metageek.net. So there are a number of programs that you could use to analyze what's going on in the network. That can be very helpful. That's a Windows program, of course, Wi-Fi scanning software. It's open source though, so it's free, and it'll tell you a lot about what's going on and what frequencies you might want to try. Insider with 2 S's. Get it? Because it's SSID. That's in the. Never mind. It's a geek joke. So good luck, Todd. You might also, if you have the capability, I know your iPad does, and your TV probably does, is of going to 5 gigahertz instead of 2.4. You might try that too. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my number. Let's talk tech. We can get geeky if you want or not. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Somebody in the chat room said, have a nice vacation. I said, what vacation? Oh, you mean Thanksgiving? And yes, I am going to take 2 days, Thursday and Friday off. And I said, what I'm going to do after I eat some turkey and watch some football is play Skyrim for like 48 hours. A very hot, 2 weeks ago, 2 very good games came out, and it kind of depends on your style, your personality, which one you might like. If you're a gamer, of course, there's Modern Warfare 3, the Call of Duty game. That's a first-person shooter, FPS they're called, where you see the world from your perspective. In this case, it's army combat kind of thing, and it's World War III. It's all over in New York, Paris. You're in planes, you're on boats. It's amazing. I mean, the technology in these things is amazing. So that was the big launch, the billion-dollar game that came out 2 weeks ago. But 2 days after that, Elder Scrolls V came out. Now, the games are different than movies. Movies, sequels are almost always worse, right? It goes, it just gets more and more derivative, and the spirit's law, whatever. But games, the sequels are almost always better because the technology improves. So often they look better, they're more interesting, they have larger universes. So the 5th version, what is Modern Warfare 3? Is it like the 6th or 7th version of Call of Duty? And yeah, the new Zelda's out too. So this is a good week to take off. Play Zelda on your Nintendo, or you could play on your Xbox or your I guess Xbox is and PCs are Call of Duty. Xbox, PlayStation 3, and PCs are Skyrim. Anyway, I'll be playing Skyrim. Skyrim is more of a sword and sorcerer's thing. You pick a race, you wander through a world, very elaborate world with, as you can hear, very elaborate music. It's kind of Norse. There's dragons. There's bad guys. You could be a bad guy. It's fun. So we're going to get, but my son doesn't want it on the PC. He wants the Xbox version of it, so I'll get the Xbox version out. Watch him play. We'll take turns. Josh in Los Angeles. Hi, Josh. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm good. How are you?
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for taking my call. You're such a mensch. I love listening to you.
I'm a geeky mensch.
Here's my question. I decided to go the ebook route, and so I'm kind of doing it myself. I did a lot of learning, a lot of studying.
Oh, not reading, publishing.
Yes.
Good for you.
So I formatted. I figured out how to covers and ISBNs and all this stuff I need to know. But I'm ready to go. I set up a website, but now I need to figure out how to publish it. And there are all these services I could, and that's why I'm calling you. What should I do now? What should I do it myself on each service? Should I go to Kindle and iBookstore, or should I hire Lulu or Smashwords or BookBaby? I mean,
it's crazy, isn't it? It's gotten very complicated out there.
Yes.
So I would use Amazon's service, probably. I mean, Amazon is, of course, the biggest bookseller in general and the biggest e-book seller in general. So the most important place to be is on Amazon. Certainly, it's a good idea to have a website, as you do, and sell directly from the website as well. But and Lulu's cool. Lulu will also print hardcover books, as will Amazon's service. I just think that there's an advantage to going with Amazon because, well, they'll get you on Amazon.
I mean, like baby books or BookBaby, excuse me. They say.
Well, everybody will, of course. Yeah.
To Amazon.
Yeah.
So, is that something? I mean, should I use a third party or should I do it myself?
Well, I would look at CreateSpace. That's the Amazon thing. I would look at CreateSpace.com and just see what they offer in terms of, here's the deal. You don't need anybody's help. You can do this all yourself. You've already done all the work. You've written the book. You've formatted it. You've created the files. I presume you created the various, E-Pub is the open source.
Yeah.
Mobi is the Kindle format.
Right.
You got those two, you're pretty much set, but you could also create PDFs and other formats. You've done all the work. You put that on the website. You just need to drive traffic to the website. The hard part, as nowadays with everything, with making your own music, videos, blogs, podcasts, is marketing, right? That's the thing that the that's the one thing that the record companies, the publishers, the TV networks, they bring to the table. We know how to market. Problem is, if you're not Danielle Steele, they may know how to market, but they ain't going to market you. So you're going to have to do it yourself anyway. So I think creating your own website, and you've done everything. You should. I agree. BookBaby's good. In fact, somebody in the chat room says BookBaby's nice because they don't take a cut.
Right.
But it does cost you. None of this is free, right?
Right. Exactly.
So there are two models. There's BookBaby, which you pay them up front. There's CreateSpace and Lulu, where they take a cut.
Right.
So for some authors, not having any capital cost up front is great, because I'm a poor author. I'm not going to spend $1,000 to self-publish. I just let them take a cut. If you have the cash, generally you'll make more money if you give them the cash up front, if you know you're going to sell them. Now, that's the problem is, there's some issues there, too, because BookBaby is going to cost you up front. It doesn't guarantee you'll sell item one, and you're out of luck.
Well, my mom will buy one.
So you got two copies sold, one to yourself.
Yeah.
So, I think these are all fairly similar. The biggest difference is Lulu, CreateSpace take the money out of each one you sell, so it costs you nothing up front.
Right.
BookBaby takes the money up front, and if you know you're going to sell, whatever, 100 or 1,000, then you're probably up ahead if you use BookBaby.
Right. And do you have any idea about price?
Cheap.
I'm going back and forth between $2.99, $1.99, $99.
Cheap.
Yeah, it's going to be cheap, but is $2.99 too high, do you think, or $1.99? Amazon has that deal where you get a bigger cut if you charge $2.99 as opposed to $1.99.
That's an interesting question, you know, and it will really vary. I know people who've made a lot of money at 99 cents. You know, the poster child for this is Amanda Hocking, who did this all by herself for a long time, created fantasy fiction, was so successful, sold millions of copies, and I think her stuff was cheap, and made a deal as a result with a publisher. She sold 450,000 copies of her 9 books. Let me see. Most were 99 cents to $2.99. So this is the thing. You almost want to experiment. Now, she had the advantage because she had lots of different books. So she could figure out, well, people, do you sell 30% more if you charge 99 cents? Do you sell 100% more?
Right.
This is the same thing that any business person has to go through. What is the price, you know, what is it? The supply and demand curve, the price performance curve. I would say 99 cents is kind of, here's the deal. You're unknown, right?
Correct.
So when you're unknown, I think it's best to charge as little as possible, because what you want to do is make it an impulse purchase.
Okay.
In fact, I wouldn't even turn your nose up at free. That's why maybe Book Baby is down the road. You know, a good model for this is, and I just interviewed him on Wednesday, but I've known him for years, Scott Sigler, SIGLER.com. He tried to get a publisher for 12 years for his kind of science thrillers. Was unable to find one. Started a podcast where he read a chapter a week and became so popular, he now has a publisher. He's done 6 or 7 books. They're real books. He's making good money.
How does free translate into any money?
Well, that's a really good question. It seems counterintuitive. Free generates interest. Free is, you know, if you're unknown, free means people might try you. First chapter free is always a good idea. But I know many authors now who give away free copies and published copies. Let me talk a little more about that when we come back.
Pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're talking about self-publishing, but, you know, I am thrilled because a lot of what we talk about these days on the show is how you can create stuff, whether you're a writer, a video creator, a movie maker, a podcaster, an audio guy, a musician. We talk a lot now about how you can create stuff. That's what I think one of the most exciting bits of digital technology is. It makes it easy and inexpensive to create. And then the internet, you have the internet to that. Now you have this distribution medium that gets you to everybody in the world. You know, I don't know how many people are on the internet now. There's 7 billion people in the world. I think half of them are internet connected now. That's remarkable. And free, you know, you could set up a blog for free. You could set up put videos on YouTube for free. You can put music on SoundCloud for free, or now Google Music, and you could sell your music for free. So the means of creation are there. The means of distribution are there. That completely disintermediates, that's the big word that everybody in the internet likes to use, all the geeks like to use. It eliminates the middleman. Disintermediates the record companies, the book companies, the movie and TV industry. That's, of course, why they're fighting all of this, because it's not just piracy. Understand that piracy scares them, but really they may not even know it, but what really scares them is they're obsolete. They're obsolete. If you want to create a big-budget, $100 million movie, you still need Universal or Paramount or Sony. You still need a big movie company. But for most content, you don't. Record companies, obsolete. I think if you're a book publisher, you may be on the road to obsolescence, because people like our last caller are writing books and publishing them themselves, getting, you know, much more of the money. You get 70% of the music you sell on Amazon, 70% or 70% of the books you sell, 70% on Apple. That's huge. Author royalties are much more typically 5, 10, 15%, not of the cover price, but of the price the publisher gets paid by the bookseller, which is 1/2 the cover price. Huge difference. Huge difference. You're getting 7.5% of the cover price. So even if you're only selling a book for $1, you're making 70 cents a book, you're probably going to make more money than if you go to a publisher. Now, does the publisher value add? What is the value add? Well, yes. Publisher will give you an editor, for instance, which for many authors is a huge help because, frankly, as with any art, we're not our own best judges. It's helpful to have critiques, but you can hire an editor. You could ask for help. You could put it on a website and ask for comments. You can get that kind of information and help. In fact, the same people who work as editors for book publishers are often available for hire. So you can get that. Cover design, same thing. Layout, same thing, if you want to do a printed book. Having an index, same thing. All right, let's see. What else? What other value add? Oh, marketing. That's the value add. But it's, I mean, look, I wrote 13 computer books before I gave up, threw my hands up in disgust, and walked away. They don't send you on an author tour. They don't buy billboards for you. They don't even get you, in a bookstore necessarily. And really, is that where you want to be, is in a bookstore? How many bookstores are left? Don't you really want to be on Amazon, and can't you do that yourself? Sure you can. So today, now, this is a skill that we have to learn if you're going to be an author, and this is, unfortunately, for a lot of creative people, we don't want to do business. We don't want to have anything to do with marketing. We don't want to have anything to do with social media. We just want to write or make music or make film. And I do think that the new generation of creators is going to have to learn a little bit about business. You know what? They've always had to do that if they want to be successful. You think Picasso didn't know anything about business? Oh, yes, he did. Great artist, but he also knew how to promote himself, how to market himself, how to sell his paintings. Van Gogh, not so much. He died penniless and alone and very sad. If you want to... All the money for Van Gogh was well after his death. I think he sold, one painting for $10 was the total. But Picasso, now, he knew what he was doing. And I think any creative nowadays probably should learn a little bit about using social media, Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, to market themselves, to tell the world what they're up to. These things are valuable skills. We should be teaching them in school. The good news is kids are learning them anyway. That's what you need to. That's what they brought to the table. That's what we need to learn. That's what they brought to bear. And I think we can do it. And so you got to learn things like, should I give away a copy of my book? Yeah, I think a lot of authors. Look at Cory Doctorow, Scott Sigler. A lot of science fiction authors give away their books and still sell them. Why? Because if you build a fan base of people who love your work, they will buy. They want the book. They want the physical book. There's a series, science fiction series that I've just recently been told about, created by a guy named David Weber, W-E-B-E-R, called the Honor Harrington series. I know there's some 13 of them, something like that. He's giving away, I think, 3 or 4 of the first ones, maybe all of them. He just gives it away. It's a PDF. It's on the website. You can get it, download it, put it on your Kindle, print it out, read it on your computer, whatever you want. Free. It does not hurt his book sales. It does not hurt Cory Doctorow's book sales. It does not. Who's another science fiction author. It does not hurt Scott Sigler. Notice these are all genre authors, kind of geek genre, because this stuff works better. But then I can also point to a guy named Paul Coelho, who's a best-selling, very famous novelist, creates literature. Paulo Coelho, Brazilian novelist, wrote a book you might have heard of called The Alchemist. Didn't sell. Nobody wanted it. Didn't do very well. So he decided to give it away worldwide. He sold now more than 65 million copies of The Alchemist. It is one of the best-selling books in history. And he gave it away. And he discovered it kind of accidentally, you know. He's an advocate of peer-to-peer file sharing. You know, BitTorrent, you heard about that? That's the thing the movie companies hate. They're scared of. He used it. A fan posted a Russian translation of one of his novels online. Sales went from 3,000 to 1 million in 3 years. And this is from Wikipedia, with no additional promotion or publicity from his publishers. So he started putting his books on Pirate Bay. He sold 95 million copies of The Alchemist. That's all you need to know. Hey, let's talk before we get to our next call. We got more calls. Of course, I've been talking, and I want to give you a chance. So Josh is in Los Angeles. Oh, we talked to Josh about his ebook. Good luck, Josh. We're going to talk to Scottish Michelle in just a little bit about using her computer outdoors. But before we... Scottish Michelle, we're going to run out of time, so can you hang on for a little bit, and we'll answer your question? I know you've been on hold for a while.
No problem.
Yeah, you're very kind.
Oh, you're kind too.
So hang on, and we will talk in a little bit. They asked me why I don't wear a kilt. And I think I probably should wear a kilt when I talk like that. So I'm going to have to get one. Scottish Michelle, hang on. She's from Los Angeles. All of you hang on. 8888 Ask Leo's the number. I should mention, by the way, the website is techguylabs.com, where James DeRuvo is assiduously writing every word I speak so that you can go back to it, and not every word, every other word. So you can go back to it and find the links and things I mentioned. That's all at techguylabs.com. There's a link to the chat room, too. I'll see you in there because it's great fun. techguylabs.com. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, and it's time to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, all that nerdy stuff, digital photography. In fact, our digital photo expert, Chris Marquardt's coming up at 33 past the hour. I think we're going to be reviewing our photo assignment. That should be fun. It was the word screen. We'll take a look at some photos that illustrate the word or concept screen, and we'll get a new assignment. The assignments are not, it's not a competition. It's just to get you out there taking pictures. We were talking about cameras, phone cameras, cell phone cameras during the break in the chat room. I go in the chat room, I like to chat with them. And I was just talking about, now I have I think, 3 of the top smartphones out there. I've got the iPhone 4S. On Sprint, I've got the Epic 4G Touch, which is essentially Sprint's version of the Galaxy S2, which I like a lot. And I just got a Windows Mango phone, which is basically, I believe it's the Galaxy S2. Instead of running Android, though, on it, as the Sprint phone does, this AT&T phone runs Windows Phone 7.5 on it. And I've been taking a number of pictures with all 3 cameras just to compare them. All 3 are 8 megapixels, but that's not really, as we know, the only way to judge a digital camera. In fact, it's probably one of the worst ways to judge a digital camera. Certainly one of the worst ways to judge a camera phone. Because really, the camera phones are tiny. They have terrible sensors in them. You know, they can't put a lot in there. The software has a lot to do with the quality of the image. I love the iPhone for the variety of camera software. Not just iPhone software, which on the 4S is much improved, very fast, very good. But also, you know, there's so many additional programs you can run. Camera Plus and Instagram and Auto Stitch. There's hardly anything you can't do with a picture once you've taken it on your iPhone. And the 4S is a great camera, just fantastic. The color reproduction, the crispness, it is almost as good as a point and shoot. Very close to as good as a point and shoot. Which means you probably don't have to carry a camera with you if you've got an iPhone 4S. I wish I could say the same for the Mango phone, the Windows phone. Very green. Crispness is not there. Color rendition is very inaccurate. There are some advantages. For instance, Microsoft is smart. They realize the camera is important on these phones, and they put, first of all, a camera button, which is nice. And when you press it, even if the phone is locked, it goes right into the camera, and you can take a picture almost right away. So there's some nice things about it, but there's not nearly the variety of software, and frankly, the camera is just not good. The Galaxy S2 is somewhere in between. And I don't know if that's that the Android software is different than the Windows software or if there's different hardware in that phone, but it's almost as good as the iPhone, not quite. Color rendition is fairly accurate. Crispness, not quite as good. And Android has almost the same range of photo aftermarket programs as the iPhone does. Lots of good stuff out there. filters. One thing that's missing that I love is Instagram. Still, they're apparently making an Android version, but still only on the iPhone. So if you're looking for the best camera phone right now, I think there's no question. Easily, it's the iPhone, particularly if you get a 4S. Hands down. Fast, accurate, good. I will be very interested to see what happens with the Google Nexus, the Samsung Nexus phone, which is out sometime, someday on some carrier. A lot of people talking about that. That's kind of the high-end, next biggest Google phone, running its latest operating system and all that. But right now, I would not hesitating. If a camera is the most important thing on a phone for you, on a smartphone, the 4S, absolutely. Anyway, we were talking to Scottish Michelle before the break, and I shouldn't forget her. Hey, Scottish Michelle, Leo Laporte.
Oh, thank you for not forgetting me.
You're very welcome.
Okay, I just got the Kindle Fire, and I haven't been able to connect to the internet on it yet. I keep trying to find a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Yes, unfortunately, unlike the other Kindles, there's no 3G version in the Fire yet, so you have to have Wi-Fi.
Right. So what I have is I have a Sprint Air card. I've had it a very long time. It's just a USB stick. And the reason that I don't want to give it up is I have true unlimited internet access with that. No, I'm not being cut off on that 5 gigabyte.
Yeah, Sprint still
line.
sells that. That's a big selling point for Sprint still.
They're still selling it? They told me...
They're still selling it that unlimited. For instance, if you get an iPhone from Sprint, you will get unlimited.
Okay. Well, okay. So here's what I'm wondering. I am told, and I've been looking on Amazon, that if I can get an adapter, basically, I can get something called a Zoom wireless travel router. It's called a Zoom 4506 3G wireless travel router, which claims that I can put my Sprint Air card right into that, and it will create a Wi-Fi hotspot wherever I am.
Sounds good. I have used other devices. I haven't used that device. There are a number of companies that make these. They have a USB port. You put the 3G card in there, and it basically turns it into a wireless access point. I've used the Cradle Point, which is the one that's been around for the longest. I have not tried the Zoom.
Well, I'm just looking for, what's going to work.
Yeah. Well, that would work.
Cradle Point.
That would work. And what about your phone? Yeah, well, that's just, they're expensive, though. What about your phone? Have you, what's your phone?
I have a BlackBerry Storm.
Ah.
Horrible. Don't say anything.
Well, it is horrible. When the time comes to get a new phone, many new smartphones have hotspot capability as well. They do the same thing as that 3G card does. But they have Wi-Fi. So for people who have a Fire or a Wi-Fi only iPad, that's a really great way to get 3G access, is to turn on the hotspot in your phone and then connect that up to your Fire. Yeah, Cradle Point is the one I've used, but there are others as well. For all I know, the Zoom is exactly the same. What often happens is somebody makes a chipset that does this, and then every manufacturer, Zoom is a modem manufacturer, they'll put their own branding on it. So I don't know anything about the Zoom, but it looks fine. First thing to do is to check and make sure it will work with your mobile 3G USB stick. Who makes your USB stick? Do you know?
Sierra Wireless.
Sierra. All right, let me just check. I'm looking at the Zoom website to see if Sierra supports. Sierra is a very common one. I'd be surprised if it's not. Yes.
See, there you go. I never would have thought to ask that
Yeah,
question.
what model? Do you know what model number?
I don't.
Yeah, there's a website, if you go to the Zoom website, that is certainly something you should check before you buy, make sure it works. They have a page, mobile broadband modems compatible with Zoom, models 4501 and 06. It's zoomtel.com. I would bet it would work. I mean, I bet it's the same thing exactly as the Cradle Point. It's just rebranded.
Right. To go back to the wireless hotspot on the phone, on my BlackBerry Storm, there is a Wi-Fi option, but I'm told it's not for receiving.
Yes. It's just for...
That's correct.
It's not for receiving, or it's not for sending?
Not for sending,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah. But
so I have to get a new phone for that.
Yeah, the new iPhones will do it. Most Android phones will do it. You have to. Of course, it depends on the carrier allowing you to do it. In most cases, the carrier will charge you. But I bet you they're already charging you for that 3G card you have, probably $60 a month.
Exactly.
Yeah, most carriers only charge $20 a month to do it with your phone. So it is time for a new phone, Scottish Michelle. If you needed permission, I give you permission.
Yes, well, if only my contract would allow it. Otherwise, I'm going to
I
spend
hate that.
$700.
I hate that. Yeah, no, yeah. But you've had that for more than 2 years, haven't you? Time to upgrade. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Put the kilt on.
One thing I learned about kilts, you really don't want to spin. Those pleats catch the wind, let me tell you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo is my number. The website, techguylabs.com. If you go there, you'll find all the show notes, but also a link to lots of other stuff, including the podcast network I run during the week, where we have lots of very geeky shows for people who have iPads or into security or Windows or Mac, or there's news shows, all sorts of stuff. That's twit.tv. But just go to Tech Guy Labs. There's a link there. There's also a link to our great chat room. 1,000 plus people in there. When you get more than 1,000, we cap it and we open another room. So I don't know how many total people there are. It's more than 1,000. But what's nice is we've got like 500 moderators, so it's really safe in there. I'm exaggerating a trifle. You also find links to video, downloadable podcasts of this show. You can get the show, absolutely. If you miss it, you can get audio or video of it, because we do make video. I know it's a radio show, but for some reason we do video of it as well. Nothing more interesting than watching a guy talk. Tim in San Diego, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Leo. I just want to say two quick things before I ask my question. First, I have to tell you, I am totally proud of you for your new studio, and also the fact that you are just a living example of all the advice that you give to people about marketing and publishing and building a business.
Thank you.
I don't even think of your show so much as a tech show, more as a business show that teaches people how to use tech and the tools to bypass all those traditional barriers.
Well, to me, that's the most exciting part of all this. And I would not count myself an expert in marketing by any means, or even business. Thank gosh, I have some business people who run this show. But what excites me about technology is not all the shiny little G-jaws. I don't want people to, spend their life savings getting the latest thing. I want them to look at this stuff as a way to empower you. To change the world, to change your life, to have more fun, whatever it is you're interested in doing. And I do think that that's the real potential here. These aren't just gadgets. These are life changers.
It reminds me of the story of the guy who invented the sewing machine. I think it was in London. And all the local tailors came and they smashed in his windows.
Yeah.
Because they said, if anybody can do what we do, if they have the tools, then we're out of a job.
Right. Interesting, there are still tailors. They're not as many, obviously, and they're very high-end. And that's, I think, going to be the case for a lot of these things, that there will be high-end books, there'll be a demand for this stuff. But what in the mass market, you're going to see a change.
Yeah, and I think in the case of tailors, they would agree that by having these tools available, their lives are easier, too. So the other thing
that's a good point, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. When calling Congress about the internet censorship,
yes.
I wouldn't just say I'm a geek and I vote. I would also add I'm a geek who makes YouTube videos. And instead of just not voting for you, I will actively start a video campaign against you.
Love it. Because
now you can insert, blogger or podcaster or whatever.
Brilliant,
but,
Tim.
Think about Al Franken. He only won by a couple thousand votes.
Right.
And so if these people realize that, if you give a video a title like Senator So-and-so wants to ruin the internet, you're going to easily get, 50,000, 100,000 hits on that. And you times that by 500 geeks out there making videos, and that could be a serious problem for even if it is just in their mind, if they realize the potential is there.
Yes, I agree with you. I think that this is ultimately very democratizing. Well, look what happened in the Arab Spring, and we're seeing it again, by the way. There are images coming from Tahrir Square once again in Egypt. The internet, social media empowers. They're fundamentally democratic with a lowercase d. They empower people, and so use them. And I think if senators and members of Congress are scared of internet piracy, they're even more scared of what their constituency might do with the internet.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yep.
Okay. By the way, I have to say one of my favorite moments in radio was about 2 weeks ago when your own employee had to call you up to get an audio with you on the radio.
Yeah, Liz was just sitting 10 feet from me, and I say, Liz, and I could see her like hiding her head. Yes.
That was funny. Yeah, from Petaluma.
I'm busy right now, Liz. Don't bother me.
Yeah, I'm on the radio. What do you mean?
I'm on the radio.
Okay. Here's my question for you. I unplugged my external hard drive, and I plugged it back into another computer, and now it says the drive is corrupt and unreadable. So I'm wondering, is there a proper way to disconnect an external drive? Because I assumed that they were like a USB thumb drive. You know,
They are, but the problem is if you do disconnect it at an inopportune moment, which is hard to do, but you can do it. It can cause problems, even on Windows. You know, on the Macintosh, they still pop up a warning when you just unplug any USB storage device, thumb drive or hard drive. Hey, whoa! Don't do that. That was improperly disconnected. You have to unmount it first, and Windows kind of bypasses that, but you it's funny, they don't require it, but if you notice in your system tray there is a little icon that says make it safe to unplug the hardware, disconnect the device, and then it'll pop up a little thing that says it's now safe to remove your device. Because Windows or Mac, there is potentially that same problem. Now Windows does some things to make sure that the hard drive is in a known good state at almost all times. So it's pretty hard to, even on Mac, to disconnect the hard drive at a time where you could actually damage the data. It seems unlikely to me, Tim, that that's what happened to your hard drive. Something else might have happened.
Well, here's why I don't think so. Because unplugging it and immediately, where it was working fine, literally 10 seconds earlier.
And then you immediately plug it in.
Plug it into a laptop 2 feet away, and all of a sudden it says that it's
could be. That's just bad luck because most of the time you can do it. The reason is that even though the operating system doesn't say I have a lock on this, I'm writing to it, it does do delayed writes. That speeds up the operating system. So delayed writes mean it might update the hard drive partially but not fully. You may have pulled it out at a time when it was... Here's what probably happened, Tim. It was writing to the drive when you pulled it out. That doesn't necessarily cause a problem, but then if you jostled it and the head then started spewing ones and zeros across the platter, it could make a mess of it.
Okay. This happened to be a drive that I hadn't used for, I've got like 6 external drives plugged in.
I think it's likely that maybe the drive was failing anyway. What you could do is take it out of the USB enclosure and put it in a PC, connect it to the SATA connections in the PC, so it's an internal drive, and then run some drive recovery software. The one I recommend, you know probably, Tim, since you listen, is SpinRite.
Yeah.
But that's $80 or $90. I mean, it's only worth doing if there's data on there you have to have.
Yeah, there's tons of it. Okay. So there's not just a simple utility that I thought it was just a matter of directing my computer to that drive.
I think not. I'll go into a little spiel that I give. There's 2 kinds of hard drive failures. There's a physical failure. The circuit board on it died. In fact, it may be the enclosure is having trouble, or the cable you're using is having trouble. So getting it out of that enclosure and trying it inside, it may just come up fine, and there's all your data, and oh, thank goodness. So there's physical errors that can happen. The head could be damaged. If it's that kind of error, the head got bent, or there's a big scratch on the drive, that's expensive to fix. You have to take it to somebody like Drive Savers, where they have guys in bunny suits in dust-free environments that open it very carefully, swap out components. That's thousands of dollars. There's also soft errors. Much more likely that's what happened to you, Tim. And then a program can recover it. SpinRite does it at the lowest possible level. That's the place I'd start. Leo Laporte. Good luck, Tim. The Tech Guy. Candy in Los Angeles. Hi, Candy. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Hi, Leo. Happy birthday, early happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, not till Tuesday, but that's okay. And a week from Tuesday, actually, yeah.
My question is kind of probably unique. I want to know how to monetize a website that's already popular, that already gets a lot of hits.
Oh, you're in a fortunate position, aren't you?
Well, it's not me. It's a friend of mine that runs a nonprofit that helps pit bulls and parolees, and she has a TV show on Animal Planet.
Oh, excellent.
And she's in the #2 spot right now for the Chase Facebook program.
You know, we talk a lot about new media and about webs and everything, but still the best way to promote a new media site or a website is with an old media show. Having a TV show on Animal Planet pretty much guarantees success. So there's a couple of ways to do this, you know, ranging from simple but less effective to much more complicated but much more effective. You know, the way to maximize your revenue would be to sell ads yourself or have a sales force selling them for you.
Right, that's what I wanted to know. Are there companies that
yes.
are like an agency?
Yes. So but you'll make the most money doing it yourself. You make the next most money by getting somebody like Federated Media, which is kind of the brand in all of this.
Okay.
They take 40%, though.
Oh.
Well, but any salesperson takes a commission, and there's a cost to having your own sales force. So it probably will. That's why, I mean, you'll make more money doing it yourself or with your own sales team, but you don't have to manage a sales team. You may not have the contacts. Hiring a good salesperson is not easy, blah, blah, blah.
Well, this is for a nonprofit that helps the animals and the pros rehabilitate the dogs. So
a good cause.
A very good cause.
Yeah. So the easiest way that makes the least amount of money is, but not a bad way to do it, is Google AdWords, or AdSense, I should say.
Okay.
So by
Can
putting...
you look at the site and see what you think?
Sure. What's the name of it?
It's V as in Victor, R, C as in cat, pitbull.net, and then it's /dog, just to get in it without having to go through the initial part.
VRC pitbull.net/dog?
Correct. Or vrcpitbull.net. That will get you to the first
Victor
page.
Romeo...
Cat. Pitbull, pitbull.net. I think
I mistyped it. There we go. Let's. I'm such a bad typist. I hate to do this because I slow everybody down. So good. Well, we've given you a plug, so maybe that'll help generate some traffic. It's a good cause, and the easiest way to make money on a site is simply to put. This is great. The Villalobos Rescue Center, saving man and man's best friend. And I know pit bulls really do need rescue because so many people who get pit bulls don't take good care of them. So that's a good cause. You could put Google AdSense on there and probably make some money, maybe $1,000 a month. You'd make more money doing it yourself. The medium solution, the middle solution, is to hire somebody like Federated Media to do it. Chris Marquardt, good luck. A great cause, Candy. Chris Marquardt is here. He's our photo guy, the guy who does the Tips from the Top Floor podcast, joins us most weeks to talk about photography. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
Good to have you. Sorry, I forgot you.
Oh, no problem.
Chris is in our chat room, and he said, Leo, what about me? Oh, sorry, Chris. Hey. So welcome to the show. And
we're not going to review the assignment today. I think we need a couple more entries there.
Okay, good. That's good to know. That's what I was going to ask you.
But there are two things I want to talk about. Remember last week we talked about the disposable memory project where they send disposable cameras around the world and then people take a photo, hand them on, and when it comes back to the project, it will be put online and you can see the story that happened, the journey of the camera.
Yeah.
Well, there is one on the way to TWiT.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yep, Tony's going to pick that up, and then he's going to hand it off to you, and then I guess you're supposed to hand it off to one of the visitors, and then in a hopefully short time we'll see where it was.
That should really get some traction because we have visitors from all over the world. So should I do it randomly, or should I try to get somebody who's going to take it far, far away?
I think that's completely up to you. I mean, that's the beauty of the project. The cameras will be anywhere. I mean, one just went to the South Pole, so
wow.
It could go anywhere.
If you want to find out more, disposablememoryproject.org. It's just a clever idea. I just like the idea. These are by the way, they're film cameras, right? They're just like pocket film cameras.
Yeah, just like a 24-frame disposable camera, very standard. camera and easy to handle. I mean, you can't make any mistakes with the camera like that. So
great. So we will take some pictures here at our studio. Tony will take some, I'll take some, and then we'll give it to one of our members of our studio audience from somewhere far away, and we'll let him or her take that with him, and then maybe he'll give it to somebody interesting. Do they say only take one picture each person?
I think that's pretty much up to you. So I guess it'll be okay if you take a couple or more.
I don't want to take too many. It's fun if they're like
you could put another camera in the bag and send it with it.
Well, if we're not going to talk about our assignment, let me tell everybody about it, because we need to get some pictures so we can do it next week. The assignment is pretty simple, and it's not a contest, not a competition. The idea is we'll give you, or Chris will give you, a photo assignment. I want you, and the whole point is to get you out there taking pictures. So you look to take some pictures that represent this assignment. Then you tag it with the word. In this case, we're looking for screen. So it's a picture that represents screen. I'm not going to tell. Chris won't tell you what kind of screen. Could be any kind of screen.
Could be anything. Anything that even has. Think outside the box. Think around the corner. Think not the usual stuff. Those are usually the pictures that the pictures that you have to put some effort in will be the ones that typically come out best, because you thought about them. You slowed down. You took your time to get the picture.
And it could be a camera phone. It doesn't have to be a high-end DSLR. It could be anything, any kind of camera. So the way once you take the picture, now you're going to tag it with the word screen and upload it to Flickr. Let me explain what that means. Flickr, FLICKR.com, is a Yahoo photo sharing site. If you love photography, you should know about Flickr anyway. It's Flickr without an E. If you have a Yahoo account, you've already got a Flickr account. If not, create a free one. You don't need to pay for it. And then go to groups and search for the Tech Guy group. TECHGU space GUY, 2 words. We have 8,635 members and my shining face on the cover, so you'll know it's the right group. 2,200 photos in the pool. Submit your photo, 1 per week. You'll see that Orbit Gal right on the front page of the Tech Guy group has the assignment, so if you forget, it's all there. And we thought we were going to do it November 6th, but obviously... actually, we thought we were going to do it this week, but obviously we've got a little longer. I guess we'll do it in December. We want to give everybody a month to do it.
Yeah. I think that sounds about right.
Already some interesting screen images. You can go there and look at them, too. Oh, well, what do you want to talk about, Mr. Marquardt, if it's not about our assignment?
Well, when was the last time you went out shooting with a tripod?
Oh, a long time.
One of these guys. The thing is, with today's DSLRs, with their amazing low-light capabilities, people think they don't need a tripod anymore. But I just spent time on the weekend doing that, and it brings back a few things that we've kind of lost. Well, first of all, obviously it gives you more stability.
Yep.
So you can shoot in almost all light conditions, half a second, no problem, no camera shake.
And in fact, it's fun to do time exposures at night and play. You get really interesting pictures.
What it'll also do, it'll force you to be more careful. Yes. So when I'm out shooting digital, I usually handheld. I shoot like more of a spray and pray.
Hold on, we got to take a break because I want to get some more tips. Tripod photography. Chris Marquardt. We'll have more with you in just a bit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The great Johnny Cash. I've been everywhere. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. This guy's been everywhere. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy. Every year goes to the Himalayas for photo workshops. He travels all around the world. In fact, I bet you have some workshops coming up in the States this summer, right, Chris?
Yeah. Actually, in 2012, I'm not going to go to the Himalayas, but instead, there's a chance I'll go to Japan, to Hokkaido.
Ooh, I'd like to go on that one. I'll have to find out about that.
And then in summer, Washington, D.C. and San Francisco, and then up in Canada, Toronto, and Vancouver.
DiscoverTheTopFloor.com to find out about his workshops. So we were talking about tripod shooting, and the problem is, like I'm sure most people are like me, the tripod's fun, but you don't want to carry it around. So this is kind of just a reminder that there's some stuff you can do with a tripod you just can't do any other way, and it does force you, as you say, to compose your image, to think about it, because you can't move that camera around very much with a tripod.
Yeah, and stability, that is the first thing that comes into people's minds. Yeah, you need it if you want to take like a long night exposure, if you want to shoot like half a minute, or star trails. If you want to get star trails, you'll want to shoot several minutes to maybe half an hour or longer. Obviously, that's where a tripod comes in handy. but it also forces you to be a lot more careful with the composition. When I shoot in digital mode, I take a lot more pictures and I try different angles of things. When I'm there with the tripod, it is actually wonderful that it slows me down, because that really forces me to, okay, let me see, this is my subject, and then instead of taking 5 different pictures of it, I walk around it. I have a closer look first before I decide where to put the tripod, before I decide how to frame it, and before I then take the picture. So it kind of makes me think about the shot before I actually take it. And there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah, I'm thinking, actually, Gary in our chat room suggesting for macro photography, that's another reason you might want to use
absolutely,
it.
Absolutely.
Very hard to focus in macros.
And you even have like little macro focusing things that you can put between the tripod and the camera. So you have a little screw where you instead of focusing on the lens, you would focus by moving the camera back and forth. And that's where you need a tripod. You need that stability, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you compose a picture with a tripod, the camera will kind of be, or the tripod will turn into a piece of memory for you. It will remember the shot. It won't just, if you take the camera off your eyes, the frame is gone. But if you have it on a tripod and you frame the shot, take some care, then think about something or wait for something to happen to walk into the shot, you can actually take your eyes off the camera and it will remember the frame. So if your shot depends on, for example, some wildlife walking into exactly a certain spot, you'll be able to watch that from outside the camera and then take the shot even without really looking through it. So there are a lot of things that the tripod helps you, but slowing you down, that is, I think, the most important thing here. And that trickles back into my other photography. So when I shoot handheld and I take my shots, that's when I remember that. Right. It's kind of almost like muscle memory, where I come back and I want to take the shot and I go, oh no, wait, let's walk around that subject first. Let's see from what angle it looks best, and then decide to take the shot later.
Chris, I think it was you who gave me the suggestion. You don't have to have a fancy, expensive tripod. You can buy a cheap tripod and then leave it there. Was it you who gave me this advice?
No, but some photographers do that. A tripod, yes, stability is important, but if you have a cheap tripod that is all wobbly, if you don't extend it all the way, if you keep the legs a bit shorter, if you don't extend that middle column, it'll still be very, very stable and will do the job.
Yeah. I mean, you know me. I, of course, got a very expensive Gitzo tripod.
Of course you
Feather
do.
light, carbon fiber, blah, blah, blah. But if you're traveling, the problem with a tripod is carrying it around, and it's a pain in the butt. Somebody said this, and I think it's a great idea. Buy a cheap tripod when you get there and leave it there. You can
That's
get a
good idea.
Yeah, then you don't have to schlep it around all over the place. I'm going to Paris next month. I want to take a lot of pictures. I love the idea of tripod photography in Paris, because it's such a beautiful city and the lights at night are so gorgeous. That's the place you really want to use it. I might do that. Just buy a tripod there and leave it there.
Right. Sounds like a good plan.
Chris is at chrismarquardt.com, CHRISMARQUARDT. I laugh every time.
I'm sorry.
Tell your parents fewer consonants next time. So, but if you go to techguylabs.com, you'll find a link to it, and that's where all his stuff is, and you can find out more about what he's up to and get his great podcast tips from the top floor. And we'll talk again next week. Thank you, Chris.
Talk to you, Leo. Bye.
Always a great pleasure. Love talking to Chris. We're going to take a break. Eric in Sherman Oaks. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Eric.
Hey, Leo, how are you?
Wonderful.
So I finally bit the bullet and upgrade and made the move from BlackBerry to Android after 7 faithful years.
And was that worthwhile? Michelle's listening. She wants to know. She's still got a BlackBerry Storm.
You know what? To be honest with you, I haven't even moved my SIM card over yet. I just did it yesterday. Charged it all last night and haven't done anything with it yet.
Are you a little? I sense some trepidation. Are you a little nervous about this?
Maybe. I don't know. I also moved my wife from a dumb phone to a smartphone.
Wow.
It was tied in with that. And that raised my question. I'm very familiar with the iTunes store where people can share apps and stuff amongst 5 Apple devices.
Right.
And you can pick and choose what you want to send to each device.
Right.
Is there a way to do that on the Android devices without having the other devices get get all my emails.
That's the problem. So each Android device is tied to a Google account. And if you want to have now one Google account, you buy an app. It can be on any phone, so you can and that's nice because anytime I get a new Android phone, I log into my Google account. There's all my apps. I don't have to pay for them again. So you and your wife could have two Android phones with the same Google account. But you're right. The problem is if that's your Gmail account, she's going to be accessing your Gmail as well. So
I have to create a shell. Google
create a family account. That's one way to do it, sure. Now, let me think. That's not going to be a problem for email because you can have multiple Google accounts on a single phone. So you will be able to still have your Gmail work on that phone and everything. But for the market, the Android market, you'll be using that account. That will have a credit card tied to it. That will be the account you use to buy apps.
And is there any way you can pick and choose it, like when you buy music or other things? I don't want stuff that she wants on her phone, and I want.
It doesn't all automatically download, unlike the iPhone.
So it does automatically.
It does not.
Oh, it does not.
It does not. So you'll go to the Android market. That's where music, TV shows, movies, and apps are. They're all in the same place. Books too. You buy something. It's available to you to download on another device, but it does not automatically download.
Okay. And then finally, do I have to use that as the primary Gmail account on each device?
No, not at all. You can have a market account that's a separate account that you use for nothing else. In fact, you can have multiple market accounts.
Okay, that's good to know.
So the key though is that the Android market account that you bought that app on is the one that app's tied to, and anybody using that account can use that app. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, a good day to you. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the nerdy tech guy. Yeah, but, I'm a good kind of nerd. I speak English and nerd. I'm bilingual. This is the show where you can ask a nerd a question and he will answer in English. Wow. What a concept. 8888 Ask Leo's the number. You'll know I'm a nerd when I use my nerd voice. And then when I'm normal, I just use my normal voice. See, so that way you can tell the difference. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S., worldwide. We'd love callers from around the world because of the podcast. We have listeners all over the world. Use Skype or any other VoIP app and call that number. It should be free. 888-827-5536. Lisa's in Downey, California. Our next caller listening to the great KFI, the mothership. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I am well. How are you? Thank you. I know it's hard. I know. I appreciate your patience.
I had the iPod actually since the first generation, and then I had the fourth generation. Love it. And I've been resisting to buy an iPad for a long time because I thought that's just a bigger version of iPod.
You're not wrong. It's a bigger version of the iPod Touch. I mean, you're not wrong. That's basically what it is.
Right.
But it's interesting how things change when you get to a bigger screen like that.
Right. I loved it, but the only thing is, there are a couple apps I loved in iPod Touch.
Right.
It doesn't have in the iPad.
You can still use those apps. You can download them. They just don't have the big format. So you'll have to, they won't look as good. The keyboard will be the iPod Touch keyboard, not the iPad keyboard, things like that. But I do that for a few applications that I really love that are not available in tablet form yet.
Uh-huh.
And
that's your... I really like that one, the stock, the clock. And
isn't that funny that on the iPod Touch and on the iPhone they include things like a stock market app, a weather app, a clock app, and they don't include those on the iPad. I'm going to put in a little plug for a show that we do, Lisa, called iPad Today. I do it with Sarah Lane every week. You can download it from TWiT.tv. And it's an hour-long show in which we talk about things like this. For instance, we did a show on clocks for the iPad, and there's some very good clocks for the iPad, depending on what you're looking for. There's some beautiful ones like Living Earth, Observatory, and World Clock that give you just gorgeous-looking clocks. If you just want basic alarm clock functionality, I'd take a look at one called Nightstand.
Okay.
And it'll have an alarm clock and so on.
Word clock, that thing. On the iPod Touch, it has everything. It has the timer and countdown and all and the words.
There is a world clock for the iPad that gives you a geochron style screen. You know, that where you see the Terminator line and you can see what part of the world is at night and what part of the world is in daytime. It's a beautiful clock. It has lots of nice features and alarms and stuff. So take a look at world clock for the iPad. This is one thing that you've got to kind of get used to, is that there may be both iPad and iPod versions or iPhone versions of the same app. Sometimes they do what's called universal. A universal app, the same app works on either, and if it's on an iPad, it'll know, and it'll say, oh, let me use the big screen, and if it's on an iPhone, it'll say, let me use the little screen. That's a universal app. Then they also have apps, and a lot of companies, I'm sorry to say, do this to make more money. They have a regular app for the iPhone, and then an HD app, they often call it, that costs more for the iPad. So always look to see if there's an iPad version of your favorite app. There might be. And then you can get the full size. So, what else are you missing? What else do you need?
The calculator.
Oh, there's some great calculators. There's some great iPad calculators. The problem is that the names are all pretty generic. So I'm going to talk about one that's called Calculator. That'll be hard to find. It's called Calculator HD for the iPad, and I think you'll like this a lot. It has lots of different backgrounds. It does basic, but it also will do tape calculator. I like that because I like to see previous calculations, so I can go back, and if I make a mistake, there's a scientific calculator in the same one. But these aren't free. You have to buy them. Fortunately, they're just a few dollars. It's called Calculator HD, and I'm very fond of this one.
Okay.
All right, and it works. It uses the screen real estate. So if you're looking for a really great calculator, it's nice because the buttons are big.
Okay. Yeah, I just I checked on the app stores. They have all these free or some not really that expensive.
That's why I would watch the show iPad Today. Again, it's a gratuitous plug, but we show you the app, we give you reviews, and for instance, for clocks, we looked at 100 different clocks. For calculators, we looked at 100 different calculators, and we mentioned a couple, so you get an idea. For instance, there's PCalc, which is a little bit more bare bones, but really, bare bones in design, actually much more functional in terms of abilities, a very powerful one, maybe more than some people want. I like one called Solver, Soulver, that actually uses plain English. You can use variable names, so you could say the cost of the meal times the tip rate equals the price, things like that. There's a lot of good choices out there, but you're right. It's a little difficult when you have 250,000 applications to find the one you want. So
why don't they just put those
they should say, here's a set of stuff that is the stuff that we didn't put in the iPad that you iPhone and iPod Touch users might want to know about. I wish they would do that.
I thought maybe I just don't know where to find it. It should be there, but
the problem is it's there, and it's there in spades. There's many of them. For instance, on stocks, there's quite a few stock apps. And some of them are really elaborate. Bloomberg makes one that's similar to the one on the iPhone that I like a lot. And then there's a touch stock program. I'll see if I can remember the name of it that I thought was really fantastic. We reviewed that on a recent iPad today. In a way, there's just more choices, so it's a little bit confusing. I think, though, give it some time, Lisa. You keep using that iPad, and pretty soon you'll realize that the choices that you have are pretty spectacular. All
right. Yeah. All right. So what's that? I can find again the.
It's called iPad Today, and it's a weekly hour show. It's video as well as audio. Watch the video show because then you can see what the apps look like. We have a different category every week, and we'll also do our app cap. That's our pick of the best app of the week, and you'll find that at TWiT. .tv.
.tv.
Yeah, and the stock program we talked about was Stock Touch. That's right, Web 6321. Thank you. Stock Touch is very cool. But we've done 60 or 70 shows, so there's quite a few. You might not want to try to watch them all at once.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
Right, thank you, Leo.
Thank you. I appreciate the call and the chance to plug the show. I should mention the stuff I do more often. I just don't want to be one of those. I don't want to be that guy. But that is a good show for anybody who who is an iPad user but wants suggestions. There's other choices. There's app advice sites. There's some very good sites that do reviews, of course. And so there's not just that show, but I think that show's pretty friendly and easy to understand. And because we show you those apps in action, I think it's a good way to kind of get up to speed on what's available out there. Steve Martin tells me he watches it. He's an iPad user, so I know it's good. Cheryl in Hemet, California, you're next. Hi, Cheryl. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
Thank you. I have a Samsung Gravity 3 phone, and I went to slide out the keyboard to use, and it goes to widescreen, and it's not under warranty. Is it worth repairing?
No. Unfortunately, these phones are not very repairable, and when they break, it often costs more than... How many years have you had this phone?
Just a year.
Oh, rats.
Just a year.
You're not eligible for upgrade yet, huh?
Just a very slight one.
I would take it back to the carrier, the store for the carrier you bought it from, and see if they want to keep you as a customer. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Now, when he was a young man, he never thought he'd see people stand in line to see the boy king.
If you listen to this song closely, if you play it backwards, he actually says, I love iPad today. If you just have to play it backwards. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Luke in La Crosse, Wisconsin. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey.
Hey, Luke.
Earlier you were talking about corrupted USB hard drives.
Yes.
I had a person come in one time with one of those hard drives, and what I did is at first I asked him if it was out of warranty, and he said it was, and what I did then after that is take apart the USB hard drive and remove the circuit board for the USB portion. And then I just plugged it into any random computer, and I was able to read the hard drive.
Yeah, that's exactly what I suggested to this guy.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I said take it out of the case, put it in the computer, and see if you can read it. It's a good tip. Thank you, Luke. George in Toronto, Canada. See, great minds. We think alike. Hi, George. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. First of all, I want to say that you have a fantastic library on the TWiT network. There's pretty much no shows that I don't like on it.
Thank you. We do about it. How many shows do we do now? 25? 20? Something like that?
I've lost count.
Yeah, I do. I personally do 10 or 11. And then we have Tom Merritt, who's a great broadcaster I worked with for many years at Tech TV. He was at Buzz Out Loud for CNET, and we hired him away. We have Ayaz Akhtar, we hired from PC Magazine. Sarah Lane, we hired from Current TV. She also worked with Tech TV with me. And so these hosts are doing more and more shows. We've got a new gaming show coming that's going to be awesome with Veronica Belmont and Brian Brushwood. It's going to be called Game On. We've got a new product review show we're going to launch in the next few weeks. So what we're trying to do, did you ever see Tech TV, George?
Absolutely.
We're trying to recreate, it won't be as good as, because we don't have Paul Allen's hundreds of millions of dollars to invest, but we're trying to...
I think you're doing a better job.
Thank you. We're trying to serve that audience with great content, and I feel pretty good about what we're up to. Thank you.
Cool. Well, I thank you for everything that you do. Anyways, I have a comment related to yesterday's caller and a question about Twitter.
Sure.
He was talking about recording over an off-air antenna and EPG data. Basically, the EPG data comes over the air, and it's optional for the person carrying the signal to include that data along with the signal. And for recording HD TV from an antenna, the best choice is using a Windows Media Center and an ATSC tuner card. And you can record up to 6 channels if you have 6 tuners in full HD. And you'll also receive the full interactive program guide along with it.
Yeah, Windows doesn't charge you for the program guide, which is very nice.
Yes,
yeah.
And another good choice is TiVo. when you compare it to that Channel Master, you're going to pay close to $400 or $500. If you buy a TiVo with lifetime service, you're at the same price, except TiVo is reliable.
Yeah.
And you always
now,
get
let me ask you this, George. Do they sell TiVos that work with over-the-air still?
Actually, all the old generations.
And I should explain, because people who didn't hear this call are probably saying, "What the heck, EPG? What is?" So what we're talking about? We had a caller, and we get these fairly regularly, who wants to be a cord cutter. They don't want to pay for cable or satellite. They've got good over-the-air signals, and if you live near a city, you've got great high-def over-the-air broadcasts now in every major city. So they want to have an antenna, but the problem is that when you lose the cable company or the satellite company, you lose the DVR that came with that. And so we're looking for digital video recorders that will record shows over the air. And Channel Master is one very popular choice. TiVo still makes over-the-air recorders.
All the new TiVos that are HD all come with ATSC tuners.
Good news. Those are the digital tuners you need for over-the-air.
Yes, and a lot has changed since you wrote your.
Oh, I know.
And it's the only system that actually frees yourself. You're able to pull content out of it. I know you were saying
the TiVo to go you're talking about.
Yeah, you can use the TiVo to go, and it'll basically take any HD recording that you have or any recording that you have, and it will compress it to either your Android phone or an iPhone or your PC or your laptop. If you have a TiVo in the home and say the wife is watching TiVo and you want to watch something as well through your laptop or your Mac, you're also able to watch the content that's recorded. So the content is now free. It's the only system that can actually give you the freedom to take your content with you.
They do have some restrictions, of course, because there's copy protection and so forth. But it does give you a lot more flexibility.
I haven't encountered any copy protection at all in about 5 years of use. Yeah, with all the new generation TiVos, the HD TiVos and the second generation, there's even third party like Roxio and
I stand corrected. I thought that in fact, I'm surprised because I thought this was the big issue from the TV and the networks and the movie companies. So thank you, George. I'm very glad to hear that. And George also said, and I think this is absolutely true, that if you want the most flexible, highest quality solution, a home theater PC is a great way to go. But I might quibble with you saying it's the best, George. It's certainly the best quality, most flexible, but it requires, some effort to set up, some technical skills, and there are headaches associated with it because you're using a PC now instead of, an appliance box like a TiVo. So that's interesting. I thought that they were using the broadcast flag to prevent people from copying and so forth, but I guess times have changed a little bit. So TiVo is the best. You know what I've got to do? I've got to buy a TiVo. That's what I have to do and find out what's available. So I can instead of having to misanswer these calls, I can get them right. Thank you, George, for the correction. I haven't used a TiVo in a long time. I think a lot of people, TiVo was the best, right? It was the best solution out there. It never really got a lot of traction. And then the cable companies and the satellite companies started offering DVRs in their cable box, and people just said, it's easier. I'm just going to do that. And that ended up being the kind of the de facto way to do it. I don't know if we get over-the-air TV here in the Brick House studios. We have direct TV. I don't know if we get over the air. I'll try it. I'll get a TiVo and give it a shot. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're going to take a break, come back with more. The website, again, techguylabs.com. That's where we've got all the show notes, all the information about what we talk about each and every day. Previous shows, too, 823 of them, going back to 2004. And links to our fabulous chat room, more than 1,000 people in there today. So say hi to our 18 moderators and our 1,000 listeners in the chat room. TechGuyLabs.com. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Back to the phones, 8888 Ask Leo, right after this. Alice's Restaurant Massacre. Let's see here. Leo Laporte, the tech. By the way, have a great Thanksgiving. If I don't get to say that before the end of the show, I hope you have a wonderful one. To our friends who are living in the U.S., outside the U.S., enjoy your week. Frank in Rhode Island, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
I have a MacBook Pro 17 with the new operating system, Lion 10.7.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the problems, among many, I get this community toolbar pop up that I can't get rid of.
Community toolbar. That doesn't sound like something Apple would do.
Well, it says, we're sorry, but the Safari browser version you are currently using does not support the community toolbar. I don't want it to. I don't even know what it is. I'd like to get rid
I don't want it. Not only does the Safari browser not support it, I don't want it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Let me just see here. I'm seeing this thread right now on the Apple support site all about this. I wonder if it's, let me just see where it came from. Anybody in the chat room know where it comes from? It's probably something that comes along with an application you installed. Often these free apps, you install it, and then if you do it too quickly, you won't notice there's a bunch of check boxes for extra stuff that gets installed.
I tried not to do that.
Yeah, but somehow you got... Well, I could tell you where to get rid of it.
Okay.
Toolbars for Safari are usually stored in a extensions folder. Now, unfortunately, the way Apple has decided to set up Lion, they kind of hide these critical system folders from you. So you have to jump through a little bit of a hoop here. In the Finder, there's a Go menu at the top of the screen. And if you hold down the Option key, when you open the Go menu, you'll see, you can actually do it. You can flip it on and off. It's kind of fun to watch. And you'll see that a folder called Library appears when you hold down the Option key. That's where the extension folder is.
Okay.
So you click Safari. Well, let me see. I'm looking now. Maybe it's not in Safari. It might be in Application Support. Probably is. Application Support. I don't know. I'll have to look for it. Well, it's somewhere in here. I don't know. They store Safari extensions in an extension folder, and I can't remember if it's in the Safari extension folder or if it's in a separate extension folder. Chat room, any help there? Apple, rightly so, doesn't want you messing with these libraries, but this is the easiest way to remove it. Community Toolbar, according to our chat room, shares your search queries with the advertising community. Yes, you don't want that, do you, Frank?
Not at all.
That's nice. So, according to the Apple support thread, go to Applications folder, and there's a folder there titled Toolbar. And I don't know if that's... I've never seen this before, so I have not experienced this. But they say that there'll be a Toolbar folder in your Applications folder, and inside there should be an uninstall.
I actually tried that, and I had no luck with that.
No luck, yeah. Yeah, basically, this is spyware. They may not call it spyware, but really what it is software that gets installed on your computer. Perhaps you clicked OK at some point or missed a checkbox, but somehow it got installed on your computer, and it's spying on you. I call that spyware. And so we do want to get rid of this. I'm sure it was bundled with something that you downloaded and installed, and that's why we got to be really careful. I know you're careful, Frank, and you just missed it.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to do some research because that's the recommendation, and you probably saw this on the Apple support forum. It says that it comes with Facebook Reader. Have you ever seen a program like that?
I don't do Facebook at all.
Yeah. So it might be from a number of different places. If you do not have the Toolbar folder, it says reinstall the Safari Community Toolbar app.
I really want to do that.
If you want to remove our app, install it again. This does not sound like a good solution either. I think you've seen this thread probably. It's the first thing that came up when I Googled it.
I went into another one that said you find this thing called conduit and remove that.
Yeah.
I couldn't. That didn't work either.
Wow. Well, okay. So this seems to be the solution that's worked for a number of people. If you need to open the so-called toolbar folder, click uninstall. If you do not have the toolbar folder, then you have to download the toolbar again and install it again. There's a it's ridiculous. And then you will get the uninstaller. Boy, that just doesn't sound like the right way to do it. It may be the easiest way to do it, but that seems like such a terrible idea. Frank, I will put a link. Okay, here we go. Now somebody in the chat room is coming up with a very elaborate solution. Close Safari, then locate and delete library application support conduit, library input managers, CT loader, library receipts, ctloader.pkg. Oh, forget it. This is why they want you to use the uninstaller. There's 3 files that they've put in here. If you do a spotlight search for conduit, you're going to see where these things have lived. This is terrible. This is terrible. Boy, this is a piece of junk. The problem is they don't want you to uninstall it. They're right on the edge of being kind of malware. They're going to say, if I call them malware, they're going to say, no, Leo, we're not malware. Frank installed us. Don't you remember, Frank, there was a checkbox in 3-point type at the bottom of that screen that you left checked, and of course we installed because you told us to install, and why should we make it easy to uninstall?
Wow.
Yeah. So, Frank, I think the best thing to do is I'm going to put a link in the show notes to this Apple support thread. This seems to work for everybody who tries it. If you don't have that toolbar folder, you want to, believe it or not, actively install this thing. It will, in the process of installing the toolbar folder, add an uninstall program that you'll find in Applications Toolbar, and you'll run that, and that does all the things we were just talking about. This is absolutely, in my opinion, classified as malware. Anything that installs in your system, even if they asked in fine print, anything that installs in your system that spies on what you do, sends it back to advertisers, and then makes it this hard to remove, that's malware. That's malware. Absolutely. That's something you want to get rid of. And I'm sorry that happened to you, Frank. I can tell from the number of threads that I'm seeing online at the Apple support community and elsewhere that this is a problem, a common problem. You'll have to get this at ct12555.ourtoolbar.com. It makes me even nervous going to this page, I'll be honest with you. Just nasty stuff. And yet, not illegal because they don't install without permission. It's interesting because this is a Windows download, it looks like, because it says system requirements Windows 7 or Vista XP. However, when you download it, you will download a file that you can then open up and you'll find a zip file. Oh, it's a Firefox extension. There you go. We'll find a zip file in there that you can open and then run the installer and then uninstall it. How nice. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Waning moments of the Tech Guy Show, pre-Thanksgiving show. We'll do a show next week. Of course I will. I didn't give you any Black Friday help at all. I probably should. The biggest shopping day of the year. I don't know why. Don't you want to stay home? I'll tell you what I'm doing the day after Thanksgiving. I am staying home and playing video games all day. That's what and I can't wait. But if you want Black Friday ads, we talked yesterday with Scott Wilkinson, our home theater expert. He suggested a website, BFAds, BFADS.net, not .com, .net. That was his favorite. There's also theblackfriday.com, blackfriday.info, blackfriday.us. These are all places where they aggregate coupons. It's amazing because when this first began on the web, probably 10 years ago, retailers were incensed. They sued. They hated the idea. These sites would be very aggressive at getting these ads. They'd go to newspapers and get the display ads the day before, 2 days before, and have all the ads online so you could shop and find the best deals. And these retailers hated it. They said, "Well, you're helping our customers. How dare you?" And they did. They fought. They tried to sue these companies. And then they finally realized, wait a minute, this is good for us. I think, in the early, this is the same thing. It happens with every business. When they first encounter the internet, they react with terror, with horror. They say, "You're going to kill us." And the smart businesses, the businesses that will survive, the businesses that aren't the buggy whip industry or the piano roll industry, they survive because they adapt. They figure out, well, how can we use this? And most retailers now embrace these sites. They send them the stuff ahead of time. They just have to make sure that their prices are the lowest prices, that they do have really good deals. And so that's been a benefit to us too. As in fact, in most cases, the internet is. The more information we have as consumers, the better for us. It's just it's so predictable. It's like clockwork. Whenever the internet impinges on an industry, the first reaction is, "Get them out of here. Stop the internet. Kill the internet. It's going to kill us." And the good businesses survive because they adapt. And it turns out it's very, very useful. It really works. The internet, it's a good thing. Don't fear it. We're going to come back. I have more calls. I'm going to see how many I can get in here, starting with Jim in Ordway, Colorado. He wants to buy a new computer. Maybe I'll have time for Jim in Memphis, too. His Windows XP says, "You can't get in here." Jim in Ordway, Colorado. Hello, Jim. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You too.
I have a computer that's about 6 to 8 years old, and I want to buy a new one.
It's time.
Probably, yes.
Well, I haven't figured out how many dog years computer years are, but I would say computer years, dog years, 7 years per 1 Earth year or human year? I'd say computers are more like 10 to 15 years. So you have a 90-year-old computer there.
That's probably correct.
Yeah. Time to change. And the good news is the computers are much less expensive and much, much faster than they used to be. You'll be much happier. So how can I help you make this change?
Well, I was wondering what the best processor as far as speed, hard drive, bus speed. They've changed the hard drives now.
Everything's different now.
Yes.
In fact, nowadays, most of the time, and I think we're accelerating thanks to tablets, people don't ask what processor, they just buy a thing. But in case you want to know, the Intel processors are still my favorites. They make an i3, 5, and 7. I think the i5 is the sweet spot. The i7 is an i5 with more with hyper-threading, and a little more cache. But the i5 for price performance is probably your best choice. If you need super performance, you want a game or something like that, take a look at an i7. All the drives today are SATA, S-A-T-A drives. You should expect at least 1 terabyte of storage in most desktops, half that in most laptops. I would get 8 gigs of RAM. You don't probably need more, and it's not very expensive. If you want to, are you going to build your own or are you going to buy a brand?
I want to build my own.
Oh, then let me tell you where to go. There's a great site run by my friend Ryan Shrout. It's called PCPER.com. He hosts a show on our network called This Week in Computer Hardware, Twitch. But he also runs one of the greatest enthusiast sites. There's a non-tech, there's Tom's Hardware and all of that. But he runs PC Perspective, PCPER.com. And the reason I'm sending you there is if you look at the tabs at the top, they have something called their Hardware Leaderboard.
Okay.
And he really keeps up on the state of the art. The Hardware Leaderboard will tell you what parts to get in 3 different price ranges: budget, mid-range, high-end, and actually has one for Dream System. And he tells you why this part is good. So if your budget's around $1,200, the high-end system, he'll put an i7 in there, a gigabyte motherboard. He recommends video cards from Zotac, a GeForce GTX 560, Corsair, 8 gigs of Corsair RAM. So he tells you everything to buy. Which hard drive is a terabyte Seagate Barracuda. And then that's $1,200 to build your own, and that's a very high-end system. He has a dream system if you want to spend more. He has a mid-range system if you want to spend less. He's got a $500 low-end system that's, you know what, going to give you a lot more performance than that 8-year-old computer. Everything you need to know is in here.
Okay.
PCPER.com. I'd give you the one little note that one of the things that's changed in the last 8 years, people generally don't build their own as much, partly because who's responsible if it doesn't work? Who are you going to call? You. Whereas you buy it from Dell, and I like Dell. I think they're a great company. There's other choices, of course, but you buy from Dell. There's a problem. You call Dell. If there's a problem with your booting up your new computer, you've got to figure out what's wrong. Good if you love knowing all this stuff. It's a good way to train yourself to become an expert in computing. But, these days it probably doesn't save you any money. And I usually buy my components at newegg.com. I think that's probably the best place to do it. They have a great variety. The prices are good. You can still shop around and get the best price for each component one by one, but I think Newegg makes it a lot easier. It's fun to build your own computer. It is fun to build your own computer. I enjoy it. It's a hobbyist thing. The times have changed. It's not something that I generally recommend anymore. You'll get a better deal. You'll get a single warranty. You'll get a support number if you buy it from a company. Hey, thanks for the call, Jim. I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. I really hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you're in the U.S. Enjoy your week and come back here next week because I'll be back right here, same time, same station. If you miss me, we've got those podcasts all week long at TWiT.tv. There's lots of stuff. I do, as I said, about 10 or 12 shows a week. You can find them all for download, including this show at TWiT.tv. And the website for this show, techguylabs.com. Show notes are there, audio, video, cartoons, all sorts of stuff. Hey, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.